Is selling on Amazon dead? Let's talk about this. So I talked to thousands of Amazon sellers or soon to be Amazon sellers, and a very common concern I hear is that they're worried that Amazon might be a little bit oversaturated or there's no opportunity left. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing that fear and letting you know whether I think it's too late to start an Amazon business. Just a little bit of an introduction. My name's Warner Fields with Fields of Profit. I'm a high six-figure full-time Amazon seller. And before we jump into the content, I want to briefly mention a resource I have for those of you who are thinking about starting an Amazon business. Linked directly below me is going to be my completely free Amazon seller Discord community. There's over 20,000 people in there with a bunch of free information. So if you're thinking about starting an Amazon business, definitely go ahead and check that out. But let's go ahead and jump into the video. So when we're talking about Amazon selling being dead, in my opinion, it's a very fear-mongering, very clickbaity thing to say that selling on Amazon is dead. And something that's really interesting is that ever since I started selling on Amazon in 2018, and even before that, I remember when I was researching selling on Amazon, there were people talking about it and there was YouTube videos about how selling on Amazon was already dead. And if I had listened to that almost 3.5 years ago, I would not have built a successful Amazon business, and I would probably be a lot worse off if I had listened to those haters. In my opinion, what happens pretty often when you get those people who are going around saying selling on Amazon is dead is they implemented one specific strategy, or they had one product that ended up failing. There's just a lot of reasons that their specific strategies might be failing, when really it's just a failure on them as a businessman or businesswoman, when really they should have just been adaptable in their business. And that's a very common mistake I see a lot of beginners make, is they'll try one thing, maybe two things, it won't go so well. But if you think about a lot of the success stories over history, not even throughout Amazon, just through multi-billion-dollar companies, a ton of them had failures at the start, and a lot of them ended up failing because they weren't able to adapt. So when we're talking about an Amazon business, things that might actually be dead when you're selling on Amazon is things like grabbing a product off Alibaba, changing nothing, listing it on Amazon. You're going to flood it with competition, or even within the arbitrage space. If you are coming in and you're buying only things at retail price, you're not leveraging any cashback, any coupons, anything like that, those strategies might be dead. But the key to building a successful Amazon business, and really any kind of business, is just being able to stay adaptable. And those people who weren't able to stay adaptable, obviously they're going to say, oh, the sky's falling, my business fell apart, when really they just didn't implement one simple change or two that would have helped them a ton. So if you're an Amazon seller who's worried about your strategies becoming obsolete or your business model becoming obsolete, make sure you're always on top of things in terms of learning about new tools, new softwares, new methods. For example, I recently implemented the SellerAmp reverse sourcing strategy. I know a lot of you guys who are watching this video are probably familiar with that strategy. I really didn't start doing that until a couple of months ago, and now it's one of my favorite ways to do things, and it's absolutely a killer strategy versus some of the older strategies that are kind of starting to get phased out, where you're going to have a much lower hourly if you're not willing to invest in all these new tools, or at least learn these new methods that don't necessarily involve a bunch of upfront cost, but they will involve some time cost in learning these new methods. So it's super important to stay adaptable as a business owner, just to make sure everything is right internally. But talking about selling on Amazon as a whole, you have to think about how during the worldwide events during 2021, we had obviously a major shift in how people buy things just in general. And we're already seeing the stickiness of all these consumers who went in and started buying things off Amazon, Walmart.com, all these websites where they could just click a button, it comes to the house. They don't like going to the grocery store anymore. Consumer habits are literally just changed. Because of those worldwide events, I think consumer habits have changed probably forever. I don't see a world where people start to buy more and more stuff from brick and mortar. They're going back to brick and mortar stores. No, people want that convenience. And so you as an Amazon seller are here at the perfect time when consumer habits are continuing to change in the favor of e-commerce. So you're going to be able to capitalize on that, because if you go out there and rapidly chase a business model like e-commerce, like selling on Amazon, that is just going to naturally put you in a much better boat than, let's say, someone who goes out there, starts a brick and mortar chain selling sports goods. Like, that's just objectively a worse business model that you can start out based on market trends. And on top of the fact that people have been fear-mongering for literally years about how Amazon's dead, about how e-commerce is just rapidly increasing right now. And another thing that makes it much easier for you to start an Amazon business now, even than when I started 3.5 years ago, is that there's so much more information out there. Like, when I first started selling, figuring out how to get ungated was impossible. All the gurus had it locked up behind giant paywalls. A lot of them still trying to lock it up behind giant paywalls. There was honestly just a whole lot less free resources, free groups, all that kind of stuff that was out there. The kind of stuff that I wish I had has kind of been my goal, to create the products and the information that I wish I had when I was a brand new Amazon seller. So again, shameless plug, if you're not plugged into our free Discord community, go get plugged into that community. It's absolutely everything I wish I had when I had started selling on Amazon. And at the end of the day, I have probably two giant mistakes that I made when I was starting out selling on Amazon. One of those mistakes is that I didn't start sooner. Like, I'm thinking about the fact that there's all these kids out there. I've been seeing a bunch of high schoolers who are out there selling on Amazon. I know a couple in particular who are six-figure sellers in high school. Like, I just can't imagine if I had had the brains to start an an Amazon business when I was in high school, start even sooner than I had, I would be so much further ahead. And that's honestly a complaint that I hear from a ton of more experienced sellers, is the biggest mistake they've made is not starting sooner. And then the second biggest mistake I made in my personal Amazon business, I know some of you guys might be familiar with this, but I started out by selling used books, and I did that for almost 2 years, sold about $200,000 worth of used books before I started selling anything else. And that was a huge mistake for me because it limited my growth and it limited the amount of stuff I was selling on Amazon. And I hope you're picking up on the fact that the two mistakes that I'm mentioning are both mistakes that revolve around me wishing I had started selling faster and started selling more stuff, because the reason selling books for so long was a mistake is I had been making pretty good profit by selling used books, but I was only buying those books for $1 or $2 a piece. So I had a bunch of profit just sitting in the bank account that I could have been spending to continue to sell even more stuff on Amazon. And instead I was selling books which have much higher returns, but I'm just not able to deploy the amount of capital I should have been able to deploy at that point. And that also slowed my growth on Amazon. But really the only reason that slowed my growth is because I wasn't spending more money on more inventory to sell on Amazon. And also, this is just my own personal experience to date, but last year I did a little over $600,000 in sales on Amazon. So far this year, I'm already coming up on about $450,000 in sales. By the end of the year, I'm expecting to do about $1.5 million in sales. And I know I already have an established business. I've got the expertise, all that kind of stuff. I should be growing, but if Amazon was really dying, I really don't think I'd be coming close to tripling my business just over 1 year. But that's just my own personal story. So I also wanted to show you guys a couple testimonials we had from our course, the FBA Roadmap, which is basically the complete guide to selling on Amazon, just to show you that it is absolutely possible to still start a highly successful Amazon business. Over here, we've got Cisco, who in his first 30 days sold over $6,000 worth of stuff on Amazon. Doesn't really sound like a dead business model to me. Here's another one of our students right over here. In his first 2 weeks, he sold just over $3,000 worth of stuff on Amazon. And again, here's one more to prove that this is absolutely possible to start a successful Amazon business. Looks like to date, he's done a little over $8,000 in his first 3 weeks or so on Amazon. So if you are someone who has a little bit of capital and wants to fast track your success to selling on Amazon, go ahead and check out the FBA Roadmap. That's going to be linked down below. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is just to show you that it's absolutely possible to start a successful Amazon business. And I don't want you to get discouraged by all the people out there who might have made a mistake or failed and then immediately assume that the business model as a whole is done, when you as an individual entrepreneur can absolutely be successful. If you make the right steps and absolutely just go take action, you can kill it on Amazon. But I hope you guys got some value out of this video. If you did, please feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. That helps out my business. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to drop that down below as well. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.